this is an interesting conversation, the stitch counter conversation.
Why?
Because you use it in a different way to what I use it.
Oh, that's what I would call it.
I can speak knitting language.
I'd be on row 24 because I've completed 23. The row counter says 23, that's how many. I've had something on all episode. You've been looking at it
Thank
the whole
goodness,
time.
they all say. Whereas when I look at it, I look at that and I know I'm on row 23.
So why did you do that? You complete a round and you click.
Well, that is what I did.
Well, you don't.
Don't put foil in the microwave.
Microwave.
I'm knitting 19, aren't I?
No.
No. I'm asking you.
No.
That says 18.
No, it said 17.
Great. Look, I'm about to big you
You'll
up.
not be getting this, I'm
I'm
telling you.
about... Welcome to episode 93. Oh yes, we're back and it's very, very cold. In
It's
fact,
freezing.
it was so cold this morning when I defrosted the windscreen, ice formed on the inside of the car.
it?
Yes.
Gosh.
Yes, unbelievable. It's not very often you see that.
It is.
Crazy.
Gosh, it's well below zero, I think, isn't
I
it?
can't believe this. I mean, because it takes a while, doesn't it, for the old engine to warm up, and it is really, really cold. But you know, at least we're not knee deep in snow like we were, because we were.
No, we were. It did snow yesterday, but it was kind of just sort of on and off through the day, and it didn't really settle, did it? There's nothing out there now.
No.
But it did snow pretty much most of the day.
It did, which I always think is quite nice, isn't it? If you've got like little bits of like drifty's the wrong word, fluttery flakes of snow, because there wasn't very much wind, and you know it's just coming down, and it looks really super pretty. That's the type of weather you want on Christmas Day, but you never get.
Well, you never get it. No, we normally have the coldest weather, don't we? January, February, even into March sometimes.
I remember
And
growing
I
up.
remember we went away one Easter, didn't we?
That was
a
terrible.
few years ago. So it was
It's terrible.
April. It was April, and we went on the kind of right on the Derbyshire border, wasn't it? And we were quite high up.
Yeah,
And we went to this.
it was fun.
We drove through, like, I think it's meant to be Britain's highest village or something. It's called Shap, S-H-A-P. And the snow by the sides of the roads was like this. It was like this barrier going. You know, you're going down the road and you've got this snow either side. We couldn't believe it, could we?
I know, it was
Because
just
we went
terrible.
to Chester Zoo. We drove over to Chester
I'll not
Zoo.
forget actually that the depth, because it was
It
like
was
way higher than
it
the
was
car.
ridiculous, and luckily we've got a 4x4, so we weren't worried or anything. But
Well, you were still worried.
and that was in April. That was in April.
We could have
So-
a tank with
I'd still worry.
with those tracky things. What are they called? The
Caterpillar
tracks.
tracks.
Yeah, caterpillar tracks. I always forget the name of caterpillar tracks. I
I
don't know why.
if they're called caterpillar tracks.
No, I
That's
think-
not the official.
Oh no, I bet you it isn't,
No,
because
it's not.
because that's the name of the company, isn't it?
Yeah,
Caterpillar.
caterpillar.
Yeah, so, well, you know what we mean anyway. But something very strange is going on. And I've finally got to the bottom of what it is. As you will see as the show progresses, and we have lots of new things for you today, actually, which is very exciting. But I seem to be knitting quite quickly.
You do seem to have got through quite a lot.
And I've realised why.
Why?
Well, it's because, historically, as you all know, I am a process knitter. And as soon as I finished knitting the Irish coffee, I, in one stroke, became...
Product.
product. That'll
Product.
do. I, in one stroke, became a product knitter. Well, I'm a product knitter when we're talking about sweaters. But I know that I can't spend my whole time knitting on the Samantha. So what I do is I don't allow myself to knit on the Samantha until I've knit a certain amount. on
right.
everything
So
else.
it's making you knit quicker on those other things.
So I want to get through all that, so I can knit that, which is really funny. But do you know something? I'm being very good today, because I'm not even going to show the Samantha.
Oh gosh. You're
Yes,
not.
yes, I've been knitting on it. Oh yes, of course I've been knitting on it. But there's so many other things going on, largely because of my Samantha action. Do you like that?
Yes.
There's just not space. So Samantha will be back next episode. I am most definitely, you know, and I'm going to shout it from the rooftops. And I was only talking to someone just the other day about this, and you know, they were agreeing with me. Actually, let's not beat around the bush. The next issue of Knitability, which doesn't come out until next month.
I'm going to say, don't do that to me. I've not written anything yet.
Yeah, but I can't hold in my sweater excitement, because not only is the amazing Jennifer Steingass, who's the designer of the Wintersol and so many other amazing sweaters, she is the Meet the designer, and I'm obviously combusted about that. And, you know, it was a real thrill emailing her and saying, I just want to knit all of your sweaters. But then also, and actually I should hold off saying who it is, our Meet the Vendor is a true legend of the knitting world.
I know who it is.
Oh
yes, I do. Oh yes.
And
you'll love it.
I found out in the process of talking to her and interviewing her that she loves sweaters too. So it is the issue of sweaters.
Sweaters are very popular.
I hate being one
you
of the
you are on trend at the moment, definitely, because everybody. I feel like everybody's really knitting jumpers and cardigans right now. Every podcast that I put on, everybody's knitting a lot of garments.
It's a hive of activity actually here at the moment. There's a tremendous amount going on, and you know you've got all sorts of, and I mean you're actually knitting on one of them now, and you'll be showing that a little bit later on, won't you?
Yes.
Yes. There's all sorts of exciting little things going on. But also, I was delighted yesterday or the day before to officially announce the start of season 2 of the New Adventures of the Bakery Bears.
Oh, right, did you?
Oh, yes.
I didn't see anything. Where did you do that?
Well, it was done, and you know, people can go have a look and see all the episodes that are coming up. I'll stick a link below, so if you want to go and have a look and see what's in store, there's a link in the show notes, you can go have a look. But it's commencing on the 9th of March, so it's only a few weeks away. It's just next month.
It is, because February is a short month.
It is a short month, and that then raises my blood pressure even higher, because what we're doing this year is we're actually extending the series, so it will be a longer series, and also we're going, well, I don't want to say too much, but it's going to be exciting. There's all sorts going to happen. You can go and as I say, have a look and see what's in store, but the two things which I will mention, well, the three things now, because I'm getting too excited. I have to deliberately stop myself putting one particular episode at the very start, because it's the one I wanted to do the most.
Oh, right. I don't think you've told me which one that is.
Well, there's this one particular episode that actually is going to come pretty much towards the end of the series, and my heart sinks when I say that, because I just want to go
it'll give you motivation for the rest, won't it? It's like what you were saying about the knitting.
Yeah, of course it is. You know,
you want to get to that one.
Yeah, and things need a peak, don't they? You know, you can't peak, because then it's all downhill from there. What we've picked up on, which I'm really, really excited about actually, is when we were talking about our bucket list, and the bucket list will actually be back next episode. That's when we will be picking which activity or activities.
What do you mean?
Well, we said we would do one.
I thought there was one.
But we could, I think we could do two, potentially. Right. So we'll be deciding what activity or activities we'll be doing off the bucket list next time. But one of the things that came up in that, I don't know if you remember, but we spoke about D-Day, and we also spoke about 1066, which is the Battle of Hastings. And what we've actually done with the new series, the new season of New Adventures is...
We're not going to France, are we?
I wish we were. We're actually bookending it with... We're going to start with a focus very much around 1066 and what was going on then. So it's Vikings and Normans and lots of exciting things going on, and the arrival of castles in this country, and it's just one of the coolest periods of history, global history really, because then all sorts of different things then spread out from there, like the Crusades and all sorts. But then we're finishing the series, and I was as stunned as you will probably all will be when you see the episode, that we're going to be, at the end of the series, going to visit, and it's the only abbey that we're going to be visiting all series. It's a brand new one that I've never been to before, but it formed a key part in the Allies' preparations for D-Day.
Wow.
This particular abbey. And the reason why it did was the surrounding land was geographically exactly the same as
right.
as soon as you got off the beaches.
Yeah.
It was exactly the same. So
they could practice.
Yeah, so they had tanks there, and they were doing and on the eve of D-Day, all the troops, or an awful lot of the troops were there, and they were going to be flown out. So who went to visit them at this place where we're going to go? But Winston Churchill himself. And I've got a picture of Winston at this place.
Right.
And I never knew you went there. So loads of exciting things to come, but those are two highlights. And I haven't even mentioned the episode which I'm most excited about, and I won't do. We shall save
Well,
that.
you'll have to tell me because I've no clue what you're talking about.
Today, there's so much. Yes, we've been going down the world food aisle, but I feel that we have to change the name because last episode, we went way beyond the world food aisle.
We did.
When we tried the MRE.
You all loved it, and
Yeah.
we were really pleased that you enjoyed.
So pleased that
seeing
you
it.
enjoyed that. And isn't it strange? I would never have anticipated that
No.
that would be something that we would ever do.
No.
But doing it was amazing fun. And now, unbelievably, we find ourselves in the
what?
possession of another
We've got another.
army ration pack from another army from another country. And we have another army ration pack from another army from another country on the way. So
Yeah.
at the least, we'll be doing
Three.
a 3-part taste test to find out which
But the
one's
one
best.
we've got today, it's not just a meal ration pack, which was what the
I know.
previous one was. This is a 24-hour ration pack.
So we'll have a take a look in there, but I think...
We haven't opened it yet.
Now, I wonder what the main course is.
I can remember it's on that sheet.
Oh, well, we'll find out later.
Yeah,
Yes.
because we've got the content. We know what's in there, but we haven't looked.
No. So that's just super exciting. That's coming later on the show. But also today, we have a brand new segment, The 7 Wonders of Knitting. So you're actually going to get the opportunity to help us nail down... there were 7 wonders of the ancient world, and there's 7 wonders of the world now, isn't there?
Yeah, I don't understand this. I didn't realise until Bryony was studying this fairly recently, but there's the 7 ancient wonders
Yes,
of the
they were
world,
the
and then
original.
there's the 7 modern,
Yes.
I don't know if that's what they call them, wonders of the world.
Yes. And one of them's the M25, isn't it?
We should come
hope
up with an anti-list, shouldn't we?
Yes.
Whatever the words for an anti.
The 7 best aunties in the country.
No, like an,
Oh, an
like
anti.
like anti,
Sorry, I thought you said auntie.
like opposite of.
Yes.
But
yes, we're going to be discussing over the next 7 episodes the 7 wonders of the knitting world, and then you will help us nail down what goes onto our list of 7 wonders. But that's coming up later. And also, What's on Your TV is back.
Ah,
Now, we haven't discussed What's on Your TV
for ages.
in over a year.
Gosh, is it really?
Now, and even then, we brought it back specially for Christmas. It was What's on Your Christmas TV. So actually, talking about what we're watching has been probably 2 years, and the reason why it's come back is the cupboard is bare, ladies and gentlemen.
We've
have
watched
nothing
everything.
to watch. No, we haven't watched everything.
No,
because,
I know. I know.
Yeah.
Just
I don't
being
want people
silly.
thinking that they can't suggest things, because that is exactly what we need you to do. So we will tell you what
We'll
we have
tell
watched.
you what we've been watching and what we've tried
Enjoyed.
to watch and not enjoyed, and
Also what we have watched and loved.
yeah.
And then hopefully you'll be able to say, oh, well, I've watched this and this is really good. And let's turn that. I've updated the thread over on our Ravelry page. And let's try and make that our go-to spot for all of us when we're looking for something that we want to watch. We can go over there, get some recommendations from people.
Dan Jones.
Yes!
What's on your movie?
Well, it's the Journeyman hat. And I feel bad because I probably only knit about...
What were you saying about knitting loads?
Yeah, I
This has
know.
had no progress hardly whatsoever.
It's had 50%
Well, it has,
progress
yeah,
on last
yeah,
time,
yeah,
because I'd literally
admittedly.
only just cast on. And I'm doing a slightly longer rib
Yes.
because the design is deliberately, it's quite a short one, but the beauty, I think, of knitting and of specifically making hats is...
And you're doing a different rib. I think the pattern called for 2x2,
That's
didn't
right.
it? And you wanted to do a twisted.
Absolutely.
So you're doing a 1x1 twisted.
Yeah,
So.
and then flowing straight into the pattern. What I can't quite decide on at the moment is, I mean, I'm not there yet, of course, but it's how far I go, because I wouldn't want it to be too long, because then...
Well, the reason that you're doing the ribbing a bit longer is because the hat's for you, isn't it?
Yeah, okay.
And what?
Yes,
And
I have
Dan's
a large
Dan's
head.
head's a bit bigger than the average head, and so. And the pattern is, I'm sure you could modify it, but it's a certain number of rows
Yes, so
for
you
the
can't
actual
knit.
pattern. So you'd have to mess around to kind of add more rows. So I said to you, just knit the rib longer and then you've got, a deeper hat. So that's what you're doing, isn't it?
I do think, actually, looking at the pattern, that there is the opportunity to tweak it, actually.
Right.
But I don't mean on the pattern bits, but there's a couple of bits which look like roads.
Yeah.
So you could just make them wider.
So you could just make them wider.
Just make them highways.
Yeah.
Instead of little country roads.
Yeah.
It's beautiful yarn, which is the...
I found out what it was because lovely Heather, who sent it
Thank
to
you.
us, she reminded me what it was, and it was what I thought it was. It's Knit Picks City Tweed Aran, which it is, and I didn't realise, it's actually got alpaca in it.
Doesn't
I think
feel
it's
like it.
55 merino, 20 alpaca or something like that, and then the rest is Donegal neps. I didn't think it had alpaca in it all, and I'm sensitive to alpaca, and this is really nice. I could wear this.
It really doesn't feel like...
Doesn't feel prickly at all.
You can normally tell, can't you?
I mean, there might be the merest hint, if you really think about it, but I didn't think it had alpaca in it. So, I mean, that's brilliant, isn't it? And it's this lovely natural colour with the tweedy neps, which I always want to pick out. Does anybody else do that? I kind of want to pick them off like they're pills, which defeats the purpose of having a lovely tweedy yarn.
I'm absolutely, loving it. It's just twisted rib. Who doesn't love that? If you haven't tried it, try it now. I am struggling just slightly with the needles.
Oh, you were saying you were liking those. Are you taking it all back?
I like everything about them, apart from the fact that they are really quite pointy.
Pointy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
this Chow Goose.
Yeah, and I think it's been using those ones with the checked and squared socks.
I can find a wooden one.
Well, the difficulty is, I do like metal for hats.
Well, probably
I really do.
Oh, I wonder if I know that I have got one Knit Pro Nova metal.
Right.
Which might be that size, or it might be 4mm. I can check, and they're much less...
Is it just me?
No, they're very pointy. The Nova are much less pointy,
right.
So I'll have a look. I think that's 4.5mm, isn't it?
Look.
They're really pointy. I don't think you'll have the packet.
The whole point of me using pointy needles...
They might be 5mm. I'll need to check.
The whole point of me using metal needles is because, of course, as we all know, I'm a tight knitter, and so what I don't want to be in a situation where I'm ruining needles, as we've discussed before with Kay, but also from my point of view, if it's on wood and it's gripping the wood, it makes it much harder to move it around. And on here, it's easy to move it around, but then to get it off the needles, the way that I knit, I do give it a little push. And so that then just...
It makes a hole in your finger eventually,
yeah,
doesn't
well,
it?
yeah.
You have got a
little sort of cutty thing. Well, it's not a cut, it's not a full cut, but, it's just frustrating. I don't think anyone who pushes would want to use that.
No, I know, it's a funny thing, isn't it? I mean, do you all use push with your finger? I suppose if you knit continental, would you do that if you didn't... I'm trying to think now with continental if you would push with your finger. I don't know. But I don't do it all the time. If you watch me, look, I don't really use... I do this.
That's what I'm doing. You're just doing what I'm doing.
Well, do I do that every time, though? No, I don't. I don't do it every time. Look, I do it. But I don't really... I don't do it every time. But these ones are Knit Pro Nova. Feel those?
It doesn't feel quite so
they're
hard.
Not as pointy.
It's a thinner needle, of course.
It's a thinner needle, yeah. But they're not as pointy as those.
No, I don't think so.
I really love Knit Pro Nova for knitting hats in particular. I find them really lovely. They're lovely and slick and not too pointy. But like Dan says, the thing with Knit Pro, and I know that I've heard other people say this, is I don't think their tips are very consistent at all. So you might have a pair that feels quite blunt, and then you might get another pair that feels much sharper. And that's especially the case, I think, with... I've never had a circular needle of them, but I tried the Knit Pro... What are they called? The colourful ones. You know what the ones that I mean? The ones that are colour-coded. Yeah. And I got some DPNs, and the tip of the DPNs on... virtually all of the DPNs as far as I can remember was flat at the top. They were very thin. It was the 2mm. I'd ordered them because I really loved the pink colour, but the tips were absolutely flat on the top, and I just thought that's just a bit rubbish, isn't it? But yet these ones are okay. But if you do look at them, one is different to the other.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
This one's thinner and more tapered, and
Yeah.
this one's a bit thicker and not as pointy.
Yeah.
So they are quite inconsistent.
It's a difficult balance, I suppose, because, there's nothing worse than flat tips, but,
No.
also you don't want it too sharp.
No, I mean, these are okay. These are 3mm, and these are fine. I've not had a problem with these. And I've got another pair of 3mm, and those ones are okay as well.
I wonder,
feel like
though...
it's kind of look of the draw with the tips on Knit Pro, and I'm not very impressed with that, really.
I'm sat here thinking about why I've not progressed on this as much as the other things. And yes, I have been deliberately putting a lot of time into certain projects, but I have been knitting on this, and I just wonder if it is the needles that have stopped me doing it for as long as...
Yeah, it could be. Well, I can change them, and if you've got to have wooden, then... Or I can just order you a Knit Pro one if I haven't got the right size, and you can try that one. I'm trying to think of other metal needles that you could have a 16-inch circular for that wouldn't be as... I wonder if I think Addy do one that's not very pointy, don't they? But I find Addy needles to be very heavy. So I'll have a look into it for you.
Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
Well, I'm knitting a hat as well, which I haven't done in ages. It feels ages since I've knit a hat. I can't remember the last time I did. And I just fancied knitting a hat because I really missed, from a bedtime knitting, I really missed having just a simple hat going round. I've been knitting, Bryony's scarf was a bedtime knit, her newt scarf, that was a few weeks, running over towards Christmas. And then I've been knitting socks since then, but even socks I've been finding a bit like I've got to think too much because you get to the heel and then you've got to do the heel and what have you. So I just thought, I'm going to cast on a hat. And I was just going to do a sock head. And then I thought, I'll do kind of a sock head. I want to do a fingering weight hat, but I'll just see if I can tweak it a bit and just make it a bit different and a little bit more interesting to knit. And I came up with something and I really like it. And I've basically added lots of twisted stitches into the rib and then into the body as well. Here's the hat. I'm nearly at the decreases actually. I measured it last night and I'm almost to 8 inches. And I usually just knit my hats to about 8.5 inches. I need to check my last one and then do the decreases because I don't like it too slouchy. And I also decrease the stitch count a little bit as well. It's not quite the same stitch count as on a sock head. But here's the hat. Isn't it lovely? And you can see the ribbon has got some twists in it. And also, if you look at the fabric you can see actually the line of when I'm starting from around. It's just because of the type of stitch. But can you see the stitch pattern? It's actually got twists in it. It's a broken stocking stitch. I can't remember what it's called exactly. I was going through a stitch dictionary the other day and I just came across it and I thought, that looks interesting. I might just try doing that. And I just think it looks brilliant. And it just gives that little bit of something different to do.
Also, I think what's just as important is it is giving a fabric which I have never seen before on anything. And
No,
I think it looks great.
Yeah, I think I might have seen it on one or two things, but it would have never occurred to me to try it. I don't know why, really.
I've never seen...
No, you wouldn't probably have ever seen it.
Anything looking like that before.
It's really lovely. It's just so nice. Look, I hope you can see. And the other thing that I really like is I think it works so well with a variegated yarn. Because if there was any little bits where it might have sort of pulled together, I mean, this one isn't really pooling at all, but I feel like it would disguise it because of this, the all over texture. It's really not difficult, and it's really, at first I thought, oh gosh, when I put it down at night, will I be able to tell what row I am when I pick it back up? But you can really easily see whether you're on a twisty row or not. It's really easy to tell, so that's not a problem at all. And the yarn I'm using is one that I dyed. This is a Harry Potter inspired colourway and it's Dumbledore inspired, and I called it I Do Love Knitting Patterns, and it just makes a lovely hat. And this is a really lovely base. It's got quite a nice twist. It's 80/20 merino nylon, high twist. So I think having the high twist as well really helps with that stitch definition. I'm sure it would look equally as lovely in another yarn that didn't have that twist, but I think it really helps just make it sort of jump out. So this yarn was like silvery greys, gold and a salmon colour, and I love it. I really love this colourway. It's really, really, I think it is making such a pretty hat. And I'm going to make a cowl as well, I think, with it, because it'll be very easy to adapt into a cowl. So this is actually, I'm going to write this pattern up, and this is going to be the second of my platinum collection. So platinum collection number 2 will be this one, and I'm calling it the Twister. And it just, you know, goes with all these lovely twisty stitches. So I'm going to, as soon as I finish this, I'm going to cast on another, because I just love it for bedtime. It's just brilliant for when you need that, not a lot of thought process going on, but you just need something to stop you falling asleep. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of knitting, which doesn't normally work. I normally fall asleep anyway.
Are you going to put the cowl into
I
the
will
pattern
put
as well?
the cowl into the pattern as well.
Cool.
I will put in the pattern the stitch count needed to do a cowl, and you know how far to knit and everything for that. So yeah, and I'm really, really loving it. So this is almost finished really. I've just got to do the decreases.
Well, I'm really very interested in knitting that pattern.
You keep looking at it every time I'm working on it. You keep looking, don't you, saying, "Ooh, do really love that."
Yeah.
It is super lovely.
And would it look the same if you did it in thicker yarn?
Well, I was thinking actually of doing a DK weight version, because do you know I've got that yarn that I sort of won?
Yes.
The Ching fibres.
Yes.
I thought that would make a lovely hat.
Yes.
That's very variegated.
Yeah.
So I wondered what that would look like, so I can easily adapt it to a DK weight.
Well, I think that
So maybe
I would
that's
love
what
to
I'll
see
do
it in
next.
DK weight.
Maybe
And
that's what I'll do next actually.
I think that looks quite ladylike, but a chunkier version.
Yeah.
I think I want a hat in it.
Yeah, I think the twisted rib makes it look a little bit feminine maybe.
So maybe do, on the male one, do just a normal.
Well, no, why don't you do that? You do your own, thank you very much.
Yes,
I
I know,
really
I
like
know.
the twisted version. Oh, that's the Twister, as I'm calling it.
Cool.
Lovely, 3mm needles.
Would you believe it? It's fingering weight socks.
These are lovely. Wait till you see.
Now, I hadn't cast these on the last time I saw you.
You're doing so well with those. Look how much is knit.
Now, I have had expert help from Kay in the form of...
Not a lot, really.
Well, I have, because you did a DP and sock series.
Oh, right. I thought you were actually...
She helps me without even realising she's helping me. In fact, you helped me last night with picking up some stitches, and you weren't even in the room.
I'm going to say, I don't remember that.
More about that later. But yes, I cast these on and got knitting, and I am
Oh, they're lovely.
really enjoying it. Like, really, really enjoying it.
Look. I'll hold it a bit closer for you.
I find
Look at that.
slightly... well, no, I don't find it concerning at all.
Isn't it lovely?
But I do sort of take back an element of... Well, not all of it.
So nice.
I take back a lot of what I said before with regards to socks, because when you have a well-written pattern, well, it just makes all the difference. This is Hermione's every day.
Hermione's every day.
And, you know, how can the many thousands of people be wrong?
Well, they're not wrong. I've knit it 2 or 3 times.
They are not wrong. When I cast these on, it was just like when I first cast on the sport weight ones. Real sort of heavy concentration and, you know, knitting right on the edge of capabilities. There's no way I could have done it without having knit 5 pairs of sport weight. Just no way. And so...
What are you finding is the challenge with fingering weight?
The same things
Because
that I found...
I know a lot of people will say it's no different, but so what? I'm sure a lot of people, and I've heard people comment saying, oh, well, it's no different to any other socks. So what do you find is different? It's just an interesting question, really.
It's fine saying it's no different.
The process, I suppose, is no different, but
it's no different if you've knit with fingering weight and you know, churned out a few pairs of socks. But when you first start knitting with fingering weight, I'm sure that the challenges I found would be the same as what anyone would find the first time they knit with fingering weight. And that is, the yarn is so thin and the needles are so much thinner that your dexterity with your hands has to go up a notch. And if you remember when I first did sport weight, that's exactly what I was saying to you. and I had a lot of issues with getting the right needles. Didn't we? I think I started on wood, didn't I? My first sport weight. I can't remember.
Probably.
But you know, we had real issues in getting the right needles. Got the needles right, and you know, the needles are absolutely right for this. I've just obviously gone down in needle size from the sport weights. The challenges are it's thinner, so dexterity needs to be better. Challenges are gauge around the edges, and I think that comes from, so you don't get ladders is what I mean. And I think that comes from your gauge goes because you're like, that you start knitting to a different tension to what you normally would. Also as well, when you're changing over, you know, when you're going over a needle, it is always, you know, even knitting on, you do need to think about it.
And I think the fact that you've got such big hands as well.
Yes, absolutely.
It must take some getting used to.
Yes. And I was, and there is.
Yeah, there is a bit
top.
of a ladder in one side of the rib.
Well,
but, you know,
there was all
fine.
4 sides when I started,
but it
and I
got
knew.
better.
Well, I knew what the problem was, and that's the beauty, I think, of having gone through the sport weight and doing 5 on the sport weight and working at that to get it right first. And I think that the message with all of this is diving in at the deep end never works. And I knew if I started knitting with fingering weight, it would have been cataclysmic. It just wouldn't have worked. Because, like I've already said, you know...
You have to build up to these things.
Yes,
it's like knitting a colourwork jumper before you've even ever done any colourwork. You just wouldn't do that, would you? Well, some people might, but a lot of people wouldn't.
I think you're more guaranteed to have success if you have a plan. And, you know, about 10, 11 months ago, we said that I was going into fingering weight boot camp. And I did. Yes, it was through sport weight. But now... having knit down there, it is hard. It is hard, but it's good. It's good hard.
You're not having a problem doing it.
No,
you've just been doing it. Are you going to put in a contrast heel?
I don't know. I'll just see. Look, I think what I said to Kay was.
Maybe I'm asking a bit too much.
What I said to Kay was that from now on, when I knit socks, I will knit fingering weight socks, unless she says or Bryony says. I want something different. But to be honest, you knit, you know, so many pairs of socks that...
You don't need to. You don't.
Well, probably not. So I will definitely knit finger weight socks because it feels right. You know, because it's much more wearable.
And the good thing is, because his gauge is so tight, I can give him 2.75mm needles, which is only a size down.
You checked my gauge, didn't you, the other day?
Yeah, it's fine. I've just measured it against a sock I've knit, and it's fine.
Is it about the same, or...?
It looks about the same.
Right.
It's only one size down because you've been using 3mm. So that's not been a difficult sort of transition. It's just the thin nature of the yarn. But what I did was I gave you the kind of plumpest fingering weight that I had.
Yeah.
And this is a lovely yarn. It's Nicole C. Mendez.
Oh, it is.
It's really beautiful. It's self-striping. And this colour's called Love is in the Air. It's pinks and blues and purples. It's just gorgeous. And it's on her soft sock base. And I've knit with this recently, and it's just the most fabulous sock yarn. If you've never knit with Nicole's yarn, you know, there's some in a shop at the moment. Go grab yourself a skein of her soft sock. It's fantastic. It's really plump and lovely and just knits up so nice, and it washes up beautifully. And the stripes are fantastic, you know, the transition. So it's just all round really lovely yarn.
That's actually a week's progress, because I cast this on at about this time a week ago. And so I'm surprised at quite how much I've knit. I'm about halfway down the leg.
Probably, yeah.
Well, no, I am, because you told me how many rows.
Yeah, I normally do between 40 and 50 rows on the leg. I don't do a massively
23
long...
on the leg.
Oh, right. I don't do a hugely long leg. I don't like them really long.
What I've done, you know, I historically very naughtily don't count the rows, but I am doing with this.
Yeah.
Because it's thinner yarn.
Are you making a note?
Well, you told me to do 15 on the ankle.
Will you remember all this though?
Well, you always do 15, don't you? That's your go-to.
Yeah, normally do 15 rows.
So 15, 40 to 50, I'm not going to forget that. What I've been doing is I've been trying to just think a little bit about why I haven't been enjoying knitting socks. And, you know, one of them is, oh, well, how long is it? How long have I knit to? Oh, you've gone too, you know, on one pair I remember going too far. And just trying to remove those little niggles would be great. And, it's so easy once you get into the habit. Although, this is an interesting conversation, the stitch counter conversation.
Why?
Because you use it in a different way to what I use it.
Oh, it drives me mad how he uses this.
I don't know why, because I don't question you on it.
Maybe I do it different to everybody else.
No. It doesn't matter how you do it. It doesn't matter how I do it. It doesn't matter how that woman over there does it. As long as it works for you and your brain. But how do you use it, Kate?
I click when I've completed a row, and you click before. I
click when I complete a row too. So if you were looking at that,
I'd be on row 24. I'd be on row 24 because I've completed 23. The row counter says 23. That's how many I've completed. I'm now on row 24.
Whereas when I look at it, I look at that and I know I'm on row 23.
See, how do you use the row counter? It's really, I just presumed everybody did it like I did it, that you complete a round and you click.
Well, that is what I do.
Well, you don't.
When I finish a row, I click.
But you've just said, but you can't have, because that says 23. So that means you've completed 23 rows and you haven't. You're saying you're on 23.
Yes, I'm on row 23. So when I've finished row 23, I click that and then I know I'm on row 24.
Yeah, but right, okay. The thing is, when do you first click it?
When I cast on, when I start the project.
Exactly.
What?
I don't. I would click when I've completed the first row.
Right.
So you click before you've knit the next row.
Yeah. The way you use it blows my mind.
Well, I can't understand how you use it that way, because that doesn't make sense at all, because that's how many you've knit. I've knit 23 rows, therefore I'm on row 24. That's not what he does. I couldn't pick up your project and carry on because I'd get it wrong.
And the reason why I didn't use row counters was because I was trying to use it the way that Kay used it and it kept confusing me. Fairly recently, within the last 2 or 3 months, I started using row counters and I didn't even think about the way you did it. I just started using it.
Do whatever works for you,
exactly.
really.
So long as you know where you're
but
at.
You're wrong.
Well, that's fine. I don't think there's any rule.
There isn't. I'm just winding him up.
And it'd be interesting to know how you use a row counter. Do you use it a completely different way to the way Kay and I use it?
I don't know how you would get on with the circa counter then. I've never used a circa counter.
Although how exciting to be a clever enough knitter to need to have to use one
Well,
of
I know,
those.
and how complex a project must it be to have to use one, and I just wouldn't.
One day.
Maybe.
That will be me.
I don't know, maybe.
What else is on your needles?
I'm working on a sock, and I finished the first sock yesterday and I've cast on the second, so I'll show you the one I've finished. Oh, and I really love it. Oh, so this is the one that I've finished. Oh, it's really nice. It's so fun. This section here is a little bit of leftovers of the Four Founders colourway from London House Yarns. It's the Harry Potter house colourways. And then the rest is a yarn that I dyed in the Time Turner colourway, and I thought that just went really nicely. The only thing was, I didn't realise when I chose yellow that this was going to end on that goldy colour because it's Gryffindor, but I showed Bryony and she's like, oh, whatever, Mum, it doesn't matter because it's for... Doesn't matter, listen to me, and that's very Yorkshire, isn't it? But I just really love them, and this little bit of leftovers was sent to me from lovely Sarah Hepworth, and I've had it for a little while and thinking, oh, I need to cast that on. But I just don't think... Sarah did hers with a grey and it looked fantastic. I loved the look of it. I just kind of didn't want to knit a nearly all grey sock. And then I just suddenly thought, I said to Bryony, oh, what if I was to dye up some yarn in a Harry Potter-ish sort of theme? So that's what I did, and I really like it. So I think I'll dye up some more of this. It's just this golden base with these little speckles of a darker gold and then like a silvery grey, just to reflect the sort of metallic look of a Time Turner. It's generally a gold sort of necklace thing. Really nice, just did a normal heel flap and a square heel turn. Lovely. So I cast on the second one yesterday. Cast it on straight away. You have to do that, don't you? And I'm just into the Ravenclaw stripe. Really lovely. So it's just 64 stitches, 2.25. This is a question. What's your sort of favourite gauge for a sock? Because this is so different, I think, from one knitter to the other. And this is something I've noticed recently with a pattern I was working on, that the gauge that knitters get can be really different. Like one person can knit a sock on 2.75mm like Dan and get the same gauge, because I measured your gauge and it was about 8 stitches to the inch on 2.75mm. And 8 stitches to the inch I think is a sort of average maybe for a sock. I tend to get about 9 stitches to the inch on 2.25 mils. And I just wonder if I've become a tighter knitter, you know, over recent times. Because they absolutely fit at this gauge. Oh, funny. They absolutely fit completely fine at this gauge, but they're on Bryony they're just perfect. On me they're a little bit more snug at that gauge, but once I've worn them for a little bit, you know, for an hour or two, they obviously stretch out a bit and they're fine. So it's a funny thing, isn't it, on sock gauge? I just wonder what your kind of favourite, what you knit your socks to. Do you prefer a denser gauge like 9 or even 10 stitches to the inch? I don't know, because I see some people knitting socks on like 2mm needles, and I just think, gosh, you know, if I was to knit a sock on 2mm needles, I would get, going by the gauges I would get 10 plus stitches to the inch. And that means I would need to cast on a fair number of stitches really to, you know, to make up that difference. So I think it's just differences in, you know, how tight a knitter you are. But I do really like the sock, it's lovely. And the yarn base that I used is beautiful. It's an MCN. And it's gorgeous and soft and plump and lovely. And I used a toe that I've been knitting recently. I don't know if you'll be able to see it with the colour of the yarn, but it's an 8-point decrease. And I really love it. It produces a lovely rounded toe. Really nice. I'll take it off the blocker and then you can see it a bit better, because the blocker does sort of stretch it out. But you can see it produces a really nice, lovely rounded toe. And I've been knitting this on all of my socks just lately. I really, really like it. So there we go.
Great. Well done.
Lovely sock.
Look at that. Oh my goodness. There was that much last time. It's huge. It could be a thing.
Oh no, I'm not going to try and put it on.
No, don't.
It will, no.
Yeah, come off. I've loved this. It's been great fun. The cables are great. Those I think are some of my favourite. It's cable 4 forward, I think.
Right.
Ooh.
So 2.
Listen to me.
Hold 2 at the front.
Yeah, listen
knit
to
2
me.
at the back, then knit 2 at the front. Yeah. Cable 4 front.
Yes,
it would be.
Yes.
That's what I would call it.
I can speak knitting language. And it's one of my favourites. I think it looks great, doesn't it? It's a really easy cable to do, and you know, it's fun. It's fun, so it's been really fun. Although, an interesting challenge also, because it's been a long time, as I said last time, it's been a long time since I've knit flat. And when you're knitting flat on a circular needle, is that right? Did I word that right? Yes. When you're knitting flat on a circular needle, that does create some interesting brain flows. It certainly does for me. When I'm used to knitting in the round, I mean, it's interesting because I was talking to Nana Wendy the other day, and knitting in the round completely blows her mind. You know, she just doesn't, she can't get it.
My mum would be the same.
Yeah. So, you know, interesting now that to more modern knitter, although that sounds insulting, I don't mean it to be insulting at all, but, you know, someone who started knitting more recently, knitting flat is really difficult to get my head around. But I did it. But then I had to traverse to knitting.
Yeah, I was
in
just
the
reading the
round.
pattern, and I'm still not sure that.
So.
Because I just noticed. Look at that.
Well, that's probably because I had to do a row to get the. Do you remember I said I had to do a row?
And that's not right. That something is.
Well, it isn't right.
What happened was it finished knitting flat, and then the pattern tells you to switch to the smaller needle, join to work in the round, place a stitch marker, and then work the next round. Well, we couldn't do that with Dan's knitting because it was the wrong way around. It's really hard to explain, but
well, you'd just done a purl row, so it is the wrong way around. You would have to have just done a knit row. You would have had to have knit across,
Yeah.
For it
You'd just
to then
worked-
be able to carry on knitting.
That's right. You just worked a purl row,
And
then it was telling you to join in the round.
Yeah. Well, that's not possible.
But the yarn was in the wrong place. I think you needed to have just worked a knit row.
Well, yes, you're right.
Because
the only way you could join in the round is by carrying on knitting, yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
So you'd have to have just worked a knit row for the yarn to be in the right place.
We couldn't work it out. So, he's done something, but obviously what's happened is you've got like a purl bump row here.
But you came up with the solution. You said,
I know, but
what's meant by the pattern is to knit the needles on.
Well, I don't think it is, having read the
Why?
pattern. Well, that's not what it says. Because it's telling you, switch to the smaller needles, join to work in the round,
Right.
place a stitch marker to note the first stitch.
Yes.
And then the first thing you've got to do,
Yes.
that's how you're joining it. And look, that's not what you've done. Because what you'd be doing is knitting one stitch from here together with one on this side. Oh, I
At the
don't
start and at
know.
the
I'm
end.
very confused. And I've knit this pattern.
Yeah,
So
it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. So, and I can't remember having this problem that Dan's had. So
Well, you didn't.
I didn't know.
But
so
from the
I
front,
don't.
that looks all right.
Well, it does look all right, but I could tell at the front that there's something not right there.
Yeah.
I don't know what occurred, but it looks. I mean, you can't really tell from the front.
Well, no.
So, and it's joined.
So
Hey ho,
puzzling.
very puzzling.
And also, just a tiny bit frustrating, because the point of knitting this hat is to do the colour work. And I
And
haven't
you've not
got
even
there
got
yet.
to that yet. I know. I just can't work out
It looks fine.
where it's quite gone wrong.
It looks fine. That's the beauty of my knitting. Last time
I feel like I want to knit it again just so that I can.
Last time it was
work
the
it out.
cast on.
I know, and several people said that theirs looked like Dan's with that purl bump at the beginning. So I think what I must have done is looked at that when I was knitting the pattern and thought, I don't want that purl bump there. And I think I must have started at the other end.
Right.
Joined my yarn at the other end and started knitting like that. So I'd got the right side, that right side facing me rather than the purl side. I can't remember what I did, but I'm presuming it must be something along those lines.
Yeah. But, the beauty of the situation is, it's not quite right, but it looks fine. So
Yeah.
just get on with it. And that's what I love. I think that's what I
You
love.
see, I couldn't do that. This is the difference, isn't it? I would have to fix that. But I'm not telling you to fix that because it looks okay. But me as a knitter.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one, because I wonder if it's my music background that makes me not. Because one of the things that I was taught so heavily in college was it doesn't have to be perfect. And the mastery comes from turning something that isn't quite right into something that is really good. For example, I remember once when I was at college, I had an assessment to do, and my assessment was playing this particular drum part. Partway through the drum part, I dropped a stick. Now, I could have started reaching down on the floor to pick it up, and I did. It must have been about 4 or 5 seconds that felt like a lifetime, and all these different options are running through in my head. What do I do? And then do you know what came to mind? Def Leppard came to mind. And the drummer from Def Leppard, of course, lost his arm in a bus crash. So I thought, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to finish this drum solo and I'm going to use one stick. And yes, certain bits are going to be missing, but if he can do it, I can do it. And I did it, and I passed with flying colours, and the tutor came up to me at the end and went, that was the gutsiest move I've ever seen. Throwing a stick away and finishing it off with one stick, that was just brilliant. He never realised that I'd dropped the stick. He thought I'd thrown the stick away.
Alright.
And I hadn't. I'd caught it on a rim and it had fallen on the floor. But I carried on.
It just looked really cool.
Yeah, it
Like
did look
you'd
really
be
cool. It did look so I turned a mistake into something beautiful. It's a perfectly fine looking project, and the next time you see it, hopefully, I'll have done some colour work.
Yes.
What else is on your needles?
Oh, I'm just thinking, where is it?
Yeah, it's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
It is another knitting mystery
It's behind.
because it has disappeared.
Yeah. And I have put it into a bigger bag, although this one
yes.
isn't quite big enough.
Oh no.
It's going up bag stages in size. Okay, it's the vest. What I decided was,
I'm ripping it out.
No, well, I'd like to. I haven't done any work on the second, or well, it's not the second, on one of the pieces. One of the pieces looks exactly as it did last time, because I decided that I think my way of working things, I don't really enjoy doing two things at the same time like that. I think I mentioned this last time. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to work on one piece until it's done, and then I'll go back to this one, because this has had a huge chunk done on it. It's not like I'm starting from scratch. So this piece, which is the front actually now, I've turned the other piece into the back, so this is the front, will sit and wait for me until I've finished the back. And I've done quite a lot. So I'll show you the pattern again. It's the vintage tank top pattern from my mum. She's thrilled that I'm knitting this actually. I took it to show her a while ago. I'd not done very much. And she's like, oh, it's just like your dad's, which is lovely. Because Dad used to have one. So it's this Jarrell pattern. I knit kind of monogamously on this for about 3 days, and then I had to put it down because I thought I was going to go mad. But look how much I've done. That's loads, isn't it?
Ta-da!
So look, I've just finished the underarm shaping, you can see here. It's the same on the other side. And now I've just got to knit straight until this bit here measures a certain distance. And when I finished this, I thought, oh, great, nearly finished. No, got miles to go. Miles! I've got to knit about another, I think, 20 centimetres. I don't know what that is in distance. I'm not good with centimetres. Before I get to the top. So if we model it on down, you can kind of see where it's up to. This is the back piece, but pretend I'm holding it. So that's the underarm, look. I mean, that's okay, I think, isn't it? That'll be about there. Is that too long?
That's fine.
That's where I'm up to. So the little marker was where I was when I picked it back up on, I think it was Saturday morning. And then I put it down on Monday evening. Yeah, I was watching Michael Portillo, so Monday evening. I'm always watching Michael Portillo. There's a new series, did you know? He's just done a new Great British Railway Journeys, and now he's in America. He's done a new American one, and at the moment he's in California. So he's looking into the gold rush and everything. It's fantastic. I could watch that man all day. So what do you think? I think it's looking pretty good. I am just a bit bothered that I might have knit it too long.
Oh, it'll be fine.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right. But length is a funny thing. You know, this is why I don't knit garments, I suppose, because you just want to get the fit right, don't you? And that's such a tricky thing, I think. You know, this doesn't want to be too short, it doesn't want to be too long. The good thing is it won't really drop any when I wash it because it's non-superwash.
The only thing you've got a problem with is if it's too short.
It's not going to be. It's definitely not going to be too short.
6 foot too long, it looks like a dress. But too short is an issue, isn't it? But too long, you know, it's longer and warmer.
Too long, was it?
No.
Right. Okay. I'm obviously stressing over nothing. So yeah, that's where I'm up to. And I couldn't tell you how many balls I've used so far. Actually, I was trying to work it out, and I can't even remember how many I've spliced in. I'm not sure. But what I'll do is when I've finished the back, I'm going to weigh it, and then that'll give me a good idea on how much yarn I've used. I bought a load of it. I think I bought something like 14 balls of it. But it is eating the yarn alarmingly quickly. I got through a 50
gram... Is it the moss stitch?
I think it must be a combination of the moss stitch and the cables, I think. That it's just really eating the yarn. So I'm sure that I must have enough with the amount I've got. But, you know, it's a big thing. It is a big piece of knitting, that, isn't it, really? But the front isn't as much knitting because obviously you've got the V. You've got the V going on there in the front, so that takes out a good chunk of knitting. So I'm hoping the front actually doesn't take me as long, because what you do for the front is you do the same armhole decreases, and then what you do is you put, you know, you just knit on one half of it up to the top and then go back to the other half and knit on that half to the top. And then obviously you sew the two pieces together and then you work the armholes and then the V-neck. The instructions for the ribbing on the armholes and the V-neck are like 2 lines. It's the vaguest instructions, so fingers crossed I can make head and tail of it, honestly. Here's hoping. Knitters back in the day must have been
Clever.
absolutely astoundingly good garment knitters because there's very little detail.
It's interesting, we were only talking the other day about patterns and the importance of clear patterns, and we've spoken about that through this episode with the difference in how I'm feeling about knitting socks with knitting the Hermione's every day, and how brilliant it is and how much more I'm enjoying the process. But the art, I think, to any form of instruction is not assuming someone knows something.
No, and
that's what
this
that's doing.
assumes an awful lot, but they were just written in I think that knitting was just entirely different back then. I think knitters in the sort of, when would this have been? 70s, 80s. They were more garment knitters because they needed to make clothes. So they just knit a lot.
You still don't need to learn how to knit them.
Well, you do, that's true, but you learnt that from your mums and your grandmums, didn't you?
You're assuming, again, aren't you?
But that's how it was then.
Well, yeah.
We had no internet, we had no Ravelry, we had no YouTube.
No, so it's even more important that they do a good job.
I know you would think that, but that's not the case. I think it's just something that was passed down.
I think there's
and
also...
then maybe you were taught how to read a pattern.
There's also a problem where you mustn't assume that because you are a good knitter that you can write a good pattern.
No, I think pattern writing is a skill. It's a definite skill.
It's like teaching.
It's very. It's a very difficult thing to write a pattern understandable for as many people as possible.
Yeah, you might be a world famous footballer, but you might not have a clue on how to impart that wisdom off onto someone else.
You might not be a good trainer.
Yeah. It is about knowing how to teach and how to show people the right way. Are you finished?
I think so, but I do love. Look at the double moss stitch. Oh, I just love it. And do you know what? I enjoy knitting it. I do not have an issue at all with knit one, purl one. Isn't that a weird thing? Because I know a lot of people would say, oh, all that moss stitch. I'm very happy. And maybe it's because you've then got to do all the cables. So working the moss stitch is like a doddle, isn't it? So maybe that's what it is. But I love the look of it. I think it looks beautiful.
Great. Look, I'm about to big you up.
You'll not be getting this, I'm telling you.
I'm about to big you up. Look, this is my checked and squared sock in beautiful yarn. Thank you so much for dyeing this up for me.
Oh, right. Now it starts creeping. It's like creeping.
But no. I used, for the first time ever, on my own, all on my own. I looked up your tutorial, your new tutorial on closing the gap.
Oh, right.
Look at my holes. Lack of them.
Oh, there isn't one.
Look.
Let me look.
Come on.
I haven't looked at this.
Come on.
Pretty good.
Come on.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I was sat here last night. I was like, oh. I was watching actually.
Very good.
I really wanted to watch that. I've been watching this documentary on the Foo Fighters, on the band, the Foo Fighters, and I came downstairs and I thought, I'll sit and I'll knit a little bit on the journeyman hat. And
watching the Foo Fighters knitting.
I'll watch a bit of the Foo Fighters, and then I thought, you know what? I'm going to find that tutorial, because what I thought I would do is I thought, when Kay comes and joins me, I'll ask her again how to do it. And then I thought, no, I'm going to use the tutorial.
Yeah,
and I'm going to do it.
This is the new way that I've been closing the gaps lately. I mentioned it a couple of podcasts ago, and I've done a tutorial. And I will put this method into the next sock pattern that I've designed that has a heel flap and gusset. Before I did that, I wanted to just do it a few times and make sure, and I've done a tutorial, and obviously other people have been doing it.
All those hours and days of practice, Kay, they've paid off.
I just wanted to check that it works, and so far I've had a couple of people who have messaged me and said it worked really well. So, that's brilliant.
What I'm loving about knitting this pattern again is I obviously knit it and enjoyed it the first time.
Look. I'm on row 18.
Well, I don't even know what row I'm on now. Honestly, what row am I on? If it said 18, what row am I actually knitting? I'm knitting 19, aren't I?
No.
No. I'm asking you.
No.
That says 18.
No, it said 17. It said 17 because I've knit 17 rows. 18, then. Yes, you're on 18. But you would say that you are on 17.
Yes, because that's what the dial tells me.
Just get on with what you're doing.
Look. So what I'm doing is putting in I was going to say my own heel, but I didn't. I just said to Kay, what partridge heel should I do? And she told me. And I've written it down in my book of joy, which has all my cool things in. It's got in how to do the invisible double knitting, coolest costume in the world. It's like my go-to Bible for knitting, and that's got this heel in. So I have partridge heel, and then also you've done a nice heel turn.
I just
too.
gave you.
Do you want a heel turn too?
I gave
yes,
him the
yes,
heel flap and heel turn that's in my prairie socks pattern.
What's your go-to heel turn? I said. So she wrote it down. So winner, loving it, and yeah, really, really cool. So I'm feeling really enthused about this. A lot more enthused than I was. And
are you past the wiggly yarn?
yes.
Oh, that's good.
Yes,
You're knitting
yes.
with the fresh yarn.
Yes, virgin yarn.
Virgin
yes.
yarn.
Lovely. Now, last episode, we debuted a brand new segment called Since When Did They Remove the Walnut from the Top of a Walnut Whip?
Yes. And there also used to be one inside. I totally forgot about that, but there used to be one at the bottom of a walnut whip as well.
There absolutely was. And as soon as someone said that, I remembered it. I wonder when they took that one away.
I don't know. I did remember that when someone said.
We thought that we would bring it back again this episode. Now, of course, we're going to have to change the name of it this time. And we're changing it to This Is Not Barista-Style Coffee in Your Own Home.
No.
It is most certainly not. These appeared in my Christmas stocking, didn't they, Kay?
Yeah, I saw them in the supermarket before Christmas and I thought, oh, that's going to be so funny. Because he's such a coffee nerd, I'm going to stick some of those in his Christmas stocking. Bryony thought it was hilarious. She just went, oh, Daddy's not going to like that. And you did think it was funny.
I did. I absolutely did. And, you know, I'm the first to fly the flag of anyone who can achieve what they were claiming that they were trying to achieve. But, you know, first of all, I would take umbrage with the statement, barista-style coffee in your own home. You can have that. You just get a machine, you just read a couple of books, go online, look at a couple of YouTube videos, and you can have, I would argue, better coffee than you get from a coffee shop.
Probably, yeah.
But I do understand what they're saying. You don't. If you've seen the adverts, and they've been everywhere.
Yeah.
On the adverts, what they're saying is, you know, don't go into Starbucks on the way to work. Make yourself a coffee before you leave the home.
And take it with you in your handy-dandy little cup.
Yeah, and take it with you. But the problem is, and this is what I find slightly insulting, what they've done is they've gone, I know what we'll do. We'll put a handy-dandy little cup together, we'll say barista-style coffee, we'll create the illusion, we'll make people think that's what they're going to get. And that way then when they taste it, and it tastes like Maxwell House from the 1980s, no one will complain. Seriously. You know,
it's just instant coffee.
And it's poor quality instant coffee.
I don't know. I mean, that's an arguable point, isn't it? But it's the type of instant coffee that's like a very fine powder rather than granules.
Like it was in the 80s. And then people realised that freeze drying it.
Well, wasn't Mellow Birds was like that.
Yes,
Can you
exactly.
remember Mellow Birds?
Exactly.
Mellow Birds will make you smile.
So
that was it, wasn't it?
So I think the argument stands up. What they've done is they've put the most basic form of instant coffee
Can I have
in the
a little
bottom.
sip? I
Yes.
mean, I don't drink coffee, but
All it tastes like coffee out of, you know, those...
it does just smell like a nice instant coffee. It doesn't smell like Maxwell. It doesn't smell like Maxwell House or Nescafe Normal.
That, ladies and gentlemen, tastes like a coffee you would get out of one of those machines where someone goes, do you want a coffee? You go, oh,
It
is
does
just that
taste
machine?
exactly like that.
It's, you know, it's tremendously depressing because, you know, you've got such an opportunity. You've set the bar so high. Now, this has set me thinking, and it was last episode, should I say, that really set me thinking. And I'm going to start a thread in the group. I think we should have a thread, and I think the thread should be called... It wasn't like that when I was growing up. And what I'd love to know, because it's going to be like this across the world, there's going to be things which when you were young were so much better than what they are now. Last episode, we set the ball rolling with the walnut whip.
Yeah.
Come and share some of yours. This obviously wasn't. Well, no, it was, because Mellow Birds was the coffee that everyone drank when we were young.
It's just instant coffee. And I think...
The funny thing is, Kay, this is how coffee was when we were young.
And you don't get any, when they show it on the advert, it's got like a crema on top.
Yeah.
There is no crema. I mean,
But
I don't know if
what happens when you pour it in? They've put something in that makes it fizz.
Can you see, look?
I do think that's funny though, that, you know, the point of this thread is let's talk about things how they were when we were young.
Well, I think any instant coffee would instantly do that. Do you know when you
It
first
seemed
make
more.
it?
It seemed like...
I don't know that we can say there's chemicals in there because we don't know.
Well, what it
but-
seemed like to me was that an attempt had been made to make it look like a crema.
Right, well, that's probably true. But I think it's the packaging, isn't it? It's the packaging
That's what you're paying for.
that attracts people, and
Yeah.
they think, oh, it's one of these cups like I get in Starbucks, it must be that good. But you can buy that. You can buy reusable
Yes,
ones of these everywhere.
If you don't
could
have
just,
time, go and buy a reusable
You
cup.
could just make your own coffee.
Save on
I know.
the going in the bin.
And taking it with you.
Reusable cup. Just get your own coffee, because I guarantee it'll be a damn sight better than this. Plop it in.
Yeah.
Milk, milk, maybe have milk too.
I think, to
And
be
away you
honest,
go.
even if you make coffee in a French press, like in a cafetiere, it's miles better than that.
It is.
Because
it
that's
is.
proper
Do
coffee.
that.
That's proper coffee, isn't it? Not just ground. That's just instant coffee, and
French press takes but a moment.
It shouldn't be marketed as barista style. Definitely
It's
not.
shocking. That definitely is not barista style coffee in your own home. And on that note, we shall move swiftly on to the return of What's on Your TV. And the question is, what is on your TV? Because, as we said at the start of the show, the code is bare. What have we watched? Well, we watched the new series of 24.
We did.
Without Jack Bauer.
Yes.
And we thought it was okay.
Thought it was all right.
Jimmy Smits was in it, who was
Yeah,
cool.
I like Jimmy Smits.
And it was okay.
But
shame.
it didn't have Jack Bauer in.
No, and so we got very excited then with Designated Survivor.
Yeah.
And we thought, that's going to be great. And there's nothing wrong with Designated Survivor, but it's not 24 and it's not The West Wing.
No.
They've set themselves a really challenging...
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the problem is that I think most people associate him so much with this gung-ho, can solve any problem, will go for it full-on type person. And he's not like that as a president, is he?
And it's interesting because that is reminiscent of the character that he played in Touch. Do you remember we watched Touch?
Oh gosh, that was strange, yeah.
We sort of watched one season and, we thought it was okay. But what was weird about that was they deliberately portrayed him as weak. And I remember at one point he got beat up.
Yeah, and we were like, get on. That wouldn't... We were like, Jack, get your gun out, And I know that you shouldn't typecast somebody like that, but I think he just plays that part so well that when you see him in a role that's the polar opposite, it just feels a bit strange.
Yeah. What else have we watched that we haven't told them about? Well, we got seriously into Sherlock.
Yeah.
And we watched that once, and we're actually watching it a second time because we can't find anything else to watch.
Yeah.
We're not complaining about that.
It's excellent.
If you haven't watched it.
It's really brilliant. Yeah, I love Sherlock. Yeah.
Which is funny because Kay was always adverse to watching it because she had a dislike of Benedict Cumberbatch.
True.
But then we watched it.
Yeah.
And
he plays the part brilliantly.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's superb. And what watching Sherlock and a few other things has brought home to us is we don't like formulaic TV.
No.
Something
that's predictable and,
so many TV shows do it, like Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen.
You do.
It's
you do.
formulaic.
And Columbo.
Yeah.
And I love those. So what's the difference?
Well, I think formulaic TV, you watch it on a Sunday afternoon.
True, yeah.
We don't watch a lot of TV, and when we do watch it, we need something to hook us in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, our brains just keep on churning on whatever the day has brought. So that's the reason why things like 24, Designated Survivor to an extent, but also we watched the whole... all seasons of The Sopranos.
We did.
And I'd never watched that.
No, Dan had never seen it. And I thought I'd seen them all. I hadn't. I must have watched the first 2 series, I think. Because then I was watching and thinking, I've not seen this. So that was great. But we loved that. I mean, I loved it anyway, The Sopranos. But you didn't think you would love it.
No, I always thought I wouldn't like it.
You were very sceptical.
I was very sceptical. And I'll now say, I think it's better. I think it's the best thing I've ever watched.
Yeah.
I think it's better than The West Wing.
It's absolutely brilliant. And, Dan said to me, I can't believe you like this. Because there's parts of it that are violent, it's a gangster.
The thing is, though,
a gangster series.
the violence, and it's nowhere near as violent as modern day things.
No.
The brutality and the
It wasn't
gruesomeness.
made that long ago, was it? It was maybe 20 years
But
ago.
it seems now, and I don't know if you found this, but it seems now, if you think about Game of Thrones and the excesses that they go to, it seems to be the trend. And we watched a little bit of that Sneaky Pete which had a lot of potential on Amazon, and then it started getting violent.
Oh, it was terrible.
Badly violent.
And I didn't like the violence in Outlander as well towards the end of series 1.
It's as if, isn't it?
Absolutely hated
It's as
that.
if program makers feel like that they have to really shock to make. Well, no, you don't.
No.
What you need to do is
You
give us
just
a good
need a
and
really
interesting
great
storyline.
storyline and acted well. You
Yeah.
know, it doesn't need all that. So yeah, you're right. It did have, people died, obviously, gangsters type situations, but it wasn't.
At no point
It was
was
done
it.
in a really brilliant way. It was.
I never thought I would like Sopranos because I thought that it would have gratuitous violence, and I thought that I would find it offensive, and I didn't at any point.
I
They were
wasn't
brilliantly
offended by
clever
any
because
of
they
it.
created a storyline which you would never have expected from that
No.
setting.
Yeah, because there's a lot of. I think the reason I liked it was there was a lot of interest with the characters. You really got into the characters and you cared about them and you wanted to know what happened to them. And, there is a very strong family sort of theme running through it all because I think, they're all Italian descent and that tends to be what those types of families are like.
Yeah.
So you get to know that I just really cared about them. And actually, I really loved Tony. Although he obviously did some really bad things, he did have a side to him that was really caring.
Absolutely.
And, we said on quite a lot of occasions, that's really nice he's done that.
Yeah.
We've got to say though, the last episode.
Yeah, we obviously can't say what happened because you might go and watch it. But if you look online, it is really interesting. But the last episode was the most surprising final episode I've ever seen.
We had no
for
idea
all the wrong reasons.
what was going on. It was terrible. The last episode.
I was stunned.
We kept thinking of directions it was going to go. It didn't go in any of those directions. It was very odd and a very strange choice of
crazy.
Yeah.
So this is our call out to you. Please come and tell us what you watched in the What's on Your TV thread. And, share all your favourites, but we would love to find some things which can be our new Sopranos. We've thought about, watching The Wire. And, it may be, hopefully, I'm sure there's going to be someone out there who's watched it. And I think what I'm afraid of with The Wire is that it is just going to be a sort of gritty crime drama. And we're not really into that. We don't watch.
Do you know what
really
I've been
like
watching?
That.
And you haven't been watching it lately, have you? I've been watching the Lethal Weapon series with who's in it?
It's one of the Wayans brothers.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying it. I really like it. So that's definitely a suggestion. I've been watching it while I've been dyeing and things like that. I really like it.
Any ideas that you have, please come and share them. And the type of TV that we don't enjoy, as we've said, is we just don't enjoy formulaic. Anything that sucks you in and gets you thinking, I think that's the ticket really, isn't it? Because that's what you want. Right before bed, you just want something that's going to clear your mind and hook you in and give you a really cool story. So come and share. And what we'll do is not next episode, but the episode after, we'll do another What's on Your TV. We'll see if anyone's suggested anything. And we'll also see if we've tried out one or two things, what we thought of them. So it will be back, not next episode, but the episode after. Now, it's time for a very exciting brand new segment. Yes, it's the 7 Wonders of Knitting. Over the next 7 episodes, what we're going to do is we are going to try and nail down what are the 7 Wonders of Knitting. So, who knows what it may be. Last episode, I put forward, and I will be championing today, twisted stitches. And I'll talk about the reasons why in just a moment. But Kay has something which I don't know, and she's going to champion that. And then, and this is the most exciting part, is we need your help to decide which one of our 2 things that we propose today goes on to our list of 7 wonders. And the way that you can do that is absolutely anyone who's watching can click on the link in the show notes below in the 7 Wonders thread, and it'll take you to a special page that we've set up where you can vote for either twisted stitches or whichever Kay goes for.
Well, it'll be hands down mine.
So I will I will kick off then with twisted stitches. And the reason why I think twisted stitches should go, and do you see how I've changed it from last time I was saying twisted rib.
Oh, right, okay.
Now I'm changing it to twisted stitches because I think this is the 7 wonders of knitting. And twisted rib, it's not really a wonder of knitting, is it?
No, well, I said it wasn't.
No, so I'm agreeing with you. It's not a wonder of knitting, but twisted stitches I think are a wonder of knitting.
Right.
Because that will have been an innovation that someone came up with and it's genius.
I bet somebody just knit wrong.
Yeah.
And they thought, oh, that looks nice.
Yeah. And the reason why I think it should be one of the 7 wonders of knitting is twofold. And actually, if I stopped and really thought about it, and with your help, I'm sure we could think of many, many other reasons why it should be one of the 7 wonders of knitting. But first and foremost, ribbing is boring. And it's tedious.
Much of the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's often called for, but it's never an enjoyable process. As soon as you twist it, it becomes an enjoyable process.
Why is that?
Because it looks amazing,
Yeah.
and you're like, this is cool. The whole time I'm doing it, I'm
Yeah.
like, this is cool.
Maybe it's because you're doing something that would normally be incorrect, but
Yeah.
you're allowed to do it.
Yeah. So twisted rib, as we know, is amazing. And if you haven't tried it, you must. But twisted stitches on socks, on the heels of socks.
Yes.
You've got some loose stitches
Yeah.
that you need to tighten up
Yeah,
and make a
that's
really
true.
nice. So twisted stitches used in the right environment can actually enhance the whole project and make it even better. But then also, didn't you say that you put some twisted stitches in the ribbing on that new hat design?
Yeah, and the body.
Exactly.
So yeah,
So-
it is all, yeah.
So
hence, yeah.
just by twisting a stitch, we've created an amazing rib, we've sorted out our socks, and we've created a hat pattern that is the most enticing hat pattern I've seen in a long time. It makes me
that's
want to
very-
knit it.
It's very kind.
So my proposal is twisted stitches. What is yours, Kay?
My proposal is circular knitting needles. You
yeah.
see, now you know already that I'm going to win.
Well, who knows?
I mean, when were these invented? I was trying to think back, and I think circular needles did exist. You know, when I was little, when Mum, I used to see Mum knitting. I don't remember her ever using them, but I think they were maybe used. I could be completely wrong, but maybe used for like big baby blankets and things like that. I just wonder how people knit larger items before the circular needles became really popular. And how would we now knit these gigantic shawls that people are really liking without circular needles? Because you can actually cram quite a lot of stitches onto like the longer knitting needles. I think they go up to like 35 centimeters or something. You can cram a lot of stitches on there, but even so, I don't think you'd really need a circular for certain things. And then obviously magic loop wouldn't exist, would it, without circular needles?
Yeah.
So all of us people who really love magic loop wouldn't be doing that. So does that mean that there wouldn't be as many sock knitters out there if you didn't like DPNs? Because I know obviously DPNs have been around for centuries.
Well,
But
this is an interesting
how?
point. No. I'm in the middle of researching
Yeah.
for the History of Knitting programme, which is coming later on this year.
Yeah.
And I came and told you the other day
Yeah.
that initially everything was knit
On
DPNs. And it was knit in the round.
Yeah.
And it only changed when people needed to start writing down patterns.
Right.
People needed to be able to put it on a piece of paper so that someone else could then go and knit it.
Because it was a flat piece of
Yes,
paper.
yes.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, I mean, really interesting. So, they have been around a long time.
Yeah, but I don't know how long circular needles have been around for.
Probably
I think it's
not very long.
Well, it's probably longer than we think. I just don't think necessarily it was maybe something that people used as much as we do now. Because I know very few people these days, I think, knit on straight needles.
Not from my mum and your mum.
My mum, Dan's mum, and I know Hohi Locatelli, the designer, knits on straight needles, but that's really unusual, I think, for a designer and such a prolific designer to use straight needles in that way. Quite nice, really, to see that. But I just wonder, really, where we would be, what knitting would be like if they'd never been invented and people didn't even realise that it was a thing. If we just had to knit on straights, I just wonder if there'd be as many knitters as there are now.
Well, it wouldn't be.
I don't think so.
It's a fact.
Because I think the vast majority of knitters these days use circulars for everything. As I do. The only time I don't even knit, even when I want to knit flat, for things like mitered squares, I just use a couple of DPNs. I don't use actual straight needles because I find them a bit long.
They're cumbersome.
So, yeah.
It's a great proposal. Now, I think that we should be allowed to bring back our failed proposals at a later date if they don't get through.
He's already anticipating losing.
But no, it's a fair point, isn't it? Because we might put up two things, and I'm not saying that this is the time, but we might put up two things where, one of them does deserve as many opportunities as possible to get on the list.
You're clutching at straws now, aren't you? Twisted stitches are going down, mate.
Twisted stitches is my proposal for the 7 Wonders of Knitting, and Kay's is circular needles.
Yeah.
Just look in the show notes below, click on the link, and then you can vote for whichever one you would like to vote for. In fact, you could vote for both.
Well,
do you see what I'm doing?
You can't vote for both.
You can. I think the vote allows you to.
You don't have a general election, and you can vote for both parties.
Well, it depends. It depends. You might put them in order, mightn't you? What's that called? I forget what that's called.
Oh, is that a thing?
That is a thing. At certain times. Is that first past the post? Oh, I can't remember. But that's where you put them in order. So if.
But generally speaking, you don't do that when you're voting, do you?
No. I'm clutching at straws.
You can't say, oh, I really like them both.
I've got to say,
one or the other.
I've got to say you're mean, because if someone gave me the choice between twisted stitches or circulars, I'd take circulars.
Well, there you go, you see. I've won already. There's no point even doing this, is there?
Well, of course, the voters will tell us, won't they?
You're all now going to vote for him because you feel sorry for him, aren't you?
No. You mustn't do that. It's really important that this is the 7 Wonders of Knitting. So vote for the one that you think, and I'll be voting for circular needles. Right, let's find out, Kay Jones, what's off your needles?
Oh, right, okay. I've had something on all episode. You've been looking at it the whole
goodness,
time.
They all say.
I have a finished item on, let's say. This is my dewberry.
Oh dear.
You see, when I say dewberry, it sounds like dewberry. Pass me the dewberry. The TV controller. Anyway, dewberry, let's say dewberry, cowlet, whatever you want to call it, by Hilary Smith Callis that I was knitting last time, and I finished it in absolutely no time. This is the small, I knit the size small, because as I was knitting it, I thought this looks like it's going to be plenty big enough. I used about 100 grams of yarn, and I doubled a sport weight, which gave me like a nice sort of beefy worsted weight, and it worked really well. Blocked it. And it's really nice, it's a perfect size. The only thing that kind of irritates me a little bit is because it's all sort of garter and then eyelets, you do just a few rows of rib here at the end, and it has a tendency to do that. Can you see? It sort of flicks up. That bugs me. Really, in hindsight, if I was to knit it again, I think what I would do is I'd just carry that garter. I don't know if you can see, there's garter there. I'd just carry that on a bit longer and not do the ribbing, because there's just no need for that. It just does that. And I know it's just going to sit like that. Just a little bit irks me. But it's a lovely thing, and I'd definitely knit another one. Took no time. Fantastic as gift knits. 100 grams of yarn, and you've got a lovely thing like this. Really comfy.
Winner.
Perfect. Blocked really nicely. All done. And I used Malabrigo Arroyo, and it's the English Rose colourway. And I've got 2 of this size left. So I've probably got 100 grams still left, because I used 100 grams, I weighed it, and it was about 99 grams. So I could knit another one, or I've got enough to knit a hat to go with it. Might do that.
What else is off your needles?
You've got nothing. Dan's got nothing.
Who had nothing last episode? Although I now feel stupid because you showed the rather wonderful Newt suitcase.
That's true.
So I'll just shut up.
Okay, just shut up. The next thing I finished are my Pippi Mitts. I always want to put these on the other hands for some reason.
You did, actually, when we were filming one of the final, but I thought you did it for a reason. So
I think I did, actually, but I forget what. But yeah, I finished my Pippi Mitts, and they sort of blend into my jumper. You can't really see them. Oh, you can, look. So they're all done. Oh, it's lovely yarn.
The final part in the Pippi Mittens tutorial
Yeah.
series goes out next Tuesday, and that is the part that has the pattern attached to it as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And these are super lovely. I really like them. They knit up in no time at all, really. The idea with this was that I was going to use this pattern to knit for gifts, you know, part of my Knitmas. But this pair will stay at home because it's Pippi yarn. It's Pippi the Dachshund yarn, so I've got to keep these. So these will probably go to Bryony. She loves fingerless mitts, actually. And so, yeah, I'll probably be giving these to Bryony. Lovely. So Pippi Mitts, all done.
What else is off your needles?
I've got one more thing.
Do you?
Yes.
Cool.
So yes, I finished 3 things. That's really good, isn't it?
Yes.
The third thing is a pair of socks.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yay! You always say things and it sounds sarcastic.
That wasn't sarcastic.
Did that sound sarcastic?
Well, it wasn't.
Okay.
I promise.
I finished this pair of
They are
socks.
lovely.
Ah, it's the Dancing Dog Dyeworks socks. And the colourway is gingerbread houses. And then I just used some Regia pink. Do you know those little mini baby My First Regia? For the heels and toes. And I did this toe again that I'm really in love with. I need to come up with a name for it. I keep thinking it looks sort of spiderish with the 8 decrease points. And just a normal heel flap and square turn. And I did a square turn because there's not as many gusset stitches to decrease down when you do a square turn. So it gives the least amount of disruption, I find, to the stripes. And it works really nice. You can see the gusset decreases are quite short. I think they'd normally go a little bit further than that. So they're all done, and Bryony can have these now. I can't remember the last time I kept a pair of socks, actually. The rainbow ones, the 80s inspired rainbow ones.
They're cool.
I kept those ones. So they're all done, and they're really beautiful. They washed up really nice. Not a speck of dye in the water. Michelle, if you're watching, it's fantastic. Not a single speck of dye in the water when I washed them, which, considering how vibrant that blue is, I think is just a brilliant dye job. So fantastic socks.
Interesting, actually. I forgot to say before. It was just hilarious. I was laughing to myself when I started doing the closing the gaps thing last night.
Right.
I was obviously getting to the point where it was time to start doing the gusset decreases, and I'm knitting on DPNs. And I sat there for probably 2 minutes searching for stitch markers.
Oh, you don't need them.
I know.
Yeah,
What an idiot.
I really love that about DPNs. I must try actually knitting a DPN sock again because I haven't for a while and it bothered my wrist. It's a bit like I did try to crochet recently as well because I really kind of fancied doing a bit of crochet. I did one little square of something and I could feel it in my wrist, so I just had to stop, which is frustrating. And don't you love how socks look when they've just washed and blocked? I kind of don't want to wear them. I kind of just want to keep them all nice like that and just, you know, fold them up and stack them all up and just keep them lovely.
That's lovely.
Is that weird?
No.
I want to do that.
I'm hungry.
You hungry?
I want to eat.
Oh gosh.
It's time for
Are you ready for this?
Beyond the World Food Aisle. We are back with our next taste test of the rations which are served to the British Army.
British Army.
Now, this is sent by a really amazing viewer, and thank you so much for sorting this out. You and your daughter, just absolutely brilliant.
And she sent us a letter, which was
fantastic.
So
thank you so much.
Yeah, we loved it.
So appreciate it. And as Kay said at the start of the show,
look at it. Look.
Is actually a little box.
Look at the British. Oh, look.
And this
fabulous.
Is a whole day's food.
We haven't opened it. Look, it's still sealed. There we go.
Oh, look. Oh, it's exciting. What's this?
Tissues.
Oh, look at that.
What's that?
Beyond the Beaten Track. Fruit-flavoured energy drink.
Well, we've got a list. There's actually 10 different...
Cola bottles.
Cola bottles.
Oh.
Wait.
I've just looked. Oh, they look like good ones. Oh, they smell great.
There's actually 10 different menus. This is from menu 3. And the lady in question sent us this one because it had cola bottles and she knew that Dan would like it. So it's a full 24 hours, remember. So we've got for breakfast, we've got fruitful muesli with milk. Main meal, bean and pasta salad, chicken in yellow curry with rice, chocolate brownie and hot pepper sauce, snacks, cola bottle sweets, cheese biscuits, cheese spread, cookies and cream cereal bar, a Just Fruit mix, caramel cereal bar, and barbecue peanuts. Peanuts, what are they? And then drinks, there's various different flavoured powdered drinks. There's a hot chocolate, then there's some wet wipes, tissues, chewing gum, a spork.
Look.
Look at that! That's adorable.
Ooh.
I'll show you that in a sec. And then there's like sugar, tea bags, coffee. Look at that little bottle of Tabasco.
Thai food tea.
Well, do you know what? I mean,
This is amazing. English breakfast tea.
this is a proper glass bottle of Tabasco sauce. That's the cutest thing I've ever seen. You could make that into a stitch marker. Right.
This is amazing.
Wow.
There's some trick. And what's interesting, there
Look,
seems to be
a
like
spork.
there's lots of branded
Oh, that's a
stuff.
good bag. I might keep that.
Barbecue peanuts.
Barbecue peanuts. This is enormous.
Oh,
Look at the size of that spoon.
cola flavoured drink.
That spoon's enormous.
That is enormous. That's probably for something. Hot chocolate drink, cocoa based beverage.
Thai food tea bag. You've got to, I mean, seriously. And then we've got, ooh, I've never heard of that coffee.
Oh, I have.
Rombao.
We have a slight problem.
Water purification tablets, just in case we need those.
Yes, just in case we have no purified water. There is a slight issue.
Yeah.
Bean and pasta salad with chili sauce. Chicken in yellow curry with rice.
Don't like either of those. I don't eat hot things and I don't eat curry. Well, you can try it.
Well, should I see how hot it is?
We'll see how hot it is and see if I want to try it. But you know what my reaction is whenever I try anything mildly spicy.
Well, I think the safest one, a product of Thailand.
Look, we've got chewing gum, we've got mints, we've got loads of sugar.
That is a product of Thailand. That is a Thai yellow curry.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Antibacterial wipe. Should we smell them? Because can you remember, we smelt the last one. It smelled like a fresh US Army man. Oh, this is bigger.
I should heat that one up because
Yeah.
I think that one is the one that you're most likely to be okay with.
Right, okay.
Because if it's a hint of chili,
Bean and pasta salad.
then it's going to be okay. So
These
should
are
we add that?
huge. These are much bigger than US Army.
I mean, that does not smell strongly of chili.
Gosh, it's very beany.
Very beany, which is what you'd want, isn't it?
Oh, it smells alright.
It does smell alright.
Yeah, I'm always a bit dubious about smelling stuff
I mean,
out of
that
vacuum
really,
packs,
really
but
smells alright.
It does. Are you going to heat it up?
I shall go and heat this up, and then we should give it
Fruitful
a try.
muesli. How do you get the milk?
With milk.
With milk?
Yeah.
Skimmed milk powder, you just add water.
Oh, crumbs.
Oh, we've got to do that.
You want to try that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have we got to try? Should we try that?
We need to decide which. Now, we tried the milkshake. Now, there's no milkshake in here, but there is.
Excellent. I'm so pleased about that.
Yeah, well, there is a cola drink.
Oh, right.
There is a grapefruit drink.
Can we
I feel
get
like-
cola?
She drinks a lager drink. She drinks a vodka drink. You want to go cola flavoured drink?
I think cola.
You don't want to try the tropical flavoured drink?
Well, I don't mind. I'll try any of those. What do you want to try?
think
Should we
we
try the one that we're least likely to like?
Tropical. So this is it. We have it's vegetable bean pasta with a hint of chilli. We have
Smells alright.
wallpaper paste with someone has dropped some oats in.
Look. I've just added water to it. It does look like muesli with milk. Oh no, I've just added water.
That smells okay.
Does it?
We have a tropical drink that reminds me of being a kid.
It makes a massive amount.
500
500
millilitres.
mils.
So, I see kid. Look, one. The first thing actually that I'll tell you, that's not chili.
Isn't it?
No. I'm getting no heat from that at all.
It said there was chilli.
The difference immediately between the American one and the British one is the American one looked like baby food.
It did.
It was very
That is spicy.
I'm not getting any spice.
You can't taste chilli in that.
No. This is quite robust.
It's got a smoky flavour.
Maybe it's the type of chili.
I'm getting a smoky flavour.
Right.
It's slightly barbecuey.
Right. That's really nice. I mean, that's really, really nice. And it's very, very pleasant. Not quite so sure about that.
It's lovely.
Is it?
It's just like cereal.
Hold on. I shall just wash it down with some of my tropical drink. Right. Oh, I like it.
Is it nice?
Oh, I really like it. I really like that. That's not what you expect. I thought this was going to be disgusting. I thought
It's not disgusting at all.
that makes me think of the sort of tutti fruities.
It is a bit like Tutti Frutti.
Makes-
It's not the tropical taste I was expecting.
What, you expected like a Kiora taste?
No, I was expecting like lilt.
Oh no, even
I was
worse.
expecting that.
What happened to lilt? It's gone, hasn't it?
No.
You can still get it.
Well, I think so.
I don't recall seeing it. Can you still get lilt? I want to get some now. Give
Yeah,
some
try
to
this.
Bridie. Oh, I'm sceptical about this.
It's fine.
Okay.
Why did you do that? It's totally fine. It's like muesli.
If I was hungry. I mean,
What's wrong with that?
that'd fill you up.
It tastes like there's milk on it. I'm not sure about. I'm not keen on like a lot of fruit in muesli, but the muesli itself is totally fine.
I've got to say, I'm utterly stunned, really, with the quality of both.
That's lovely.
You perceive
I'll
things.
tell you what, I'd have that for my breakfast, no problem. Cereal bar.
We mustn't go any further, really, because it's unfair then on the American one.
Oh right.
We need to do it.
But we did try the biscuits.
We did. So open the biscuits up.
Cheese oat biscuits. How are you supposed to get into? Presumably you should be able to just tear these.
This is the acid test. It really is.
Oh, there we go.
If these are high quality,
Cola bottles.
here we go.
You're going to join the army. You're going to get a new recruit because he likes you. Gosh, these look good.
They really show.
These are the cheese oat biscuits. They look really good.
Right, folks, there is a golden rule with cola bottles. Haribo, unfortunately, have done cola bottles a disservice because it's made them all
These are delicious.
really nice. They're not exactly the ones that I strive to
Right.
find, but they're sort of halfway between. They're genuinely really, really nice. I mean, like,
You'd
really
eat
nice.
them out in the field.
I'd eat them here. You wouldn't need to put me in a film. These are better than 90% of the cola bottles that you can buy in the shops.
Wow.
But
They smell
excellent.
lovely.
Also excellent. And I mean, those,
They're really good.
I don't want to add that onto the top of cola bottles.
It's really nice. It's
So-
cheesy.
Right. Oh, right. Okay. So there's actually cheese in
Yeah,
them.
they taste cheesy.
Right.
They're
Cheese over
lovely.
biscuits.
They're delicious.
Wow. And you know, I'm sure, you see, we should have that sometime.
Do you not want to open it?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you guys,
Because you'll want to see
you'll
it.
know about
This is a
chocolate brownie, won't you?
brownie.
So you're going to want to see what it looks like. Crumbs, that's dark.
Very dark.
Oh my goodness.
Oof.
I mean, that's
Well,
going
that's
to
gonna-
give you energy.
Oh, it's going to keep you going, that.
A very rich. I mean, maybe I'll try some after lunch.
Right, yeah.
I won't try some now because I have quite a lot of interesting flavours going on in my mouth.
I want to finish. I'm going to finish my cereals.
So we gave the American 10 out of 10.
Well, this would have to be 10 or just for the fact that there's a tiny Tabasco bottle.
There was Tabasco with the American one.
I know, but this is in a glass
Yeah, I know,
bottle.
chemical glass bottle. I think what is edging this just slightly ahead of the American one is the fact that the food is not mushed
It's
up so
not
much.
mush,
It
it's-
feels more like something robust and like I'm having a nice meal, which is just brilliant.
And you've got
And also as well, you know, having little treats like that in, you know, would make me feel really special if I was, you know, stuck in a guard
Oh,
post in
that's the little
Kandahar
stripy
province.
thing.
So I think we've got to give it 11 out of 10.
well, it's got to be. I mean,
Yes.
just as well, you get Thai food tea.
Seeing branded products in
Yeah,
here
I
is
mean that's
just,
amazing. You know,
that
Thai
really is
food,
amazing.
Nescafe.
yeah, and that one is, I'm not going to try and pronounce it, but I've seen that in
Right.
hotels.
Right.
So that is, you know, that's a known brand. The British Army ration pack gets an 11 out of 10.
It's fantastic, and I think it's just fascinating seeing
Absolutely
what,
fascinating. And I'm
what,
thrilled.
you know,
I'm absolutely
and all
thrilled.
of our troops, you know, the American one and now the British one, what they're actually eating, and I think
Troops
it's
all
really
over the
great.
world deserve, don't they, to have the best possible food that they can possibly be given in the
Yeah.
environment that they're in. And what we're seeing is that is what's happening.
And I think
It's just brilliant.
I think that you must be pleased with this.
I'm pleased.
If there's any British Army people watching, I would be absolutely have no problem in eating all of this. It must be nice to have decent food, though, because that makes such a difference.
It does. So that is the end.
And you get a spork as opposed to a spoon. That's a plus.
So that is the end of Beyond the World Food Aisle, and it will be back. Beyond the World Food Aisle will be back when we receive our Australian Army ration pack.
Australian.
Is there going to be kangaroo jerky in there?
I don't know. I was going to say that'll be really interesting because it's such a hot country.
Yes. That's to come. But for now, 11 out of 10. So it just pipped the American one just at the post. They're both superb, but it is just it's little things like that.
The cola bottles are swaying it for Dan.
They are. It's superb to have, those little things, those extra little things that make you feel special.
Yeah, make you feel like home. It must feel like home,
Yes.
opening that and getting some cola bottles to be like, oh. And that's not in every day. The cola bottles are not in every day.
I know
it's
what I'd be doing.
some other sweet thing.
I know what I'd be doing. I'd be getting my muesli and I'd be going to my mates and I'd be trading my muesli for their packets of cola bottles.
That's what they do. The lady who sent it said that they trade meals. Yeah.
So that's the end of Beyond the World Food Aisle. Now it's time for the Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
Yes. Now, exciting because I can update you officially on the Climb Every Mountain Cal.
Yes.
Oh yes. So, where are the knitters? How high are they? As we established on the last episode, they were slightly behind the running team. And the running team and the knitting team, of course, have names. The knitting team is Team Finds.
Team Finds.
And the running and walking team is Team Cool.
Team Cool.
So Team Finds, the knitters, are on 2,326 feet.
Wow.
But where are... Of course, we were in the lead before.
Yeah.
Where are Team Cool? Team Cool are on 1,663.
Come on. I said to you last time we would go piling ahead.
It went crazy at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And I think what happened with the runners was the runners got all excited at the start of the challenge. And then as it sort of got towards the end of January, they're like, it's winter, I'm cold. So we are slightly behind, but we're nowhere near as behind as we were when we started the fog along.
Okay, well that's
when we started the fog along, you were like 10,000 miles in front of us at the end of the first month. It was insane. It was just insane. And because we had to make an adjustment even then to make it fairer. And even still, you still lapped us about 10 times.
That's not a huge gap.
No, it's not. It's not. We can totally make that up. Do you want to come and join in with the fog along walk/run and get in touch with me? It's open to anyone. And of course, patrons, keep on ploughing in your projects.
Absolutely.
Because we have a mountain to climb. And if we climb this one, we'll move on to the next one.
We will.
Oh, yes. Never going to knit you up, Cal?
Yes. Still going on until the end of this month.
Right.
Yes.
Cool.
That's right. The end of February. So you've got loads of time yet, haven't you? To carry on knitting up those yarns that you've been hoarding away like we all do. So yeah, that runs till the end of February and then I'll draw prizes, the first podcast after the end of the month.
Cool. Now, here's an exciting little announcement. Mm-hmm. You may remember that earlier on last year, we went to the Spring into Wool show.
We did last April.
And it's back.
Yeah, it was a new festival last year called Spring into Wool and it's held at Leeds Grammar School, is that correct?
That's right.
Leeds Grammar School. And it's on again this year.
On the 7th and 8th of April.
Yeah, last year it was just one day, and this year it's now 2 days. So it's the 7th and 8th. Is that what you said? Is that a Saturday and Sunday?
It is.
7th and 8th of April this year. And the organisers have very, very generously given us 2 sets of tickets.
They have indeed. They're weekend tickets.
Weekend tickets.
So you can go either day or you could go both days.
So there's 2 lots of 2 tickets.
Yes.
So you and a friend can go and you can win them. So what I'm going to do is I will open a thread on Ravelry and it will say Spring into Wool giveaway tickets. If you would like to win those tickets, and only enter, please, if you know that you're available that weekend.
So it's the 7th and 8th of April.
Yeah, and it's in Leeds.
Yes.
So if you can get to Leeds, you're available those either one of those days. And enter the thread to win. There'll be a prompt, some kind of question to answer. Won't be tricky.
Like those, what were those quizzes where it was always like really, really simple? I remember them growing up.
You see them on the telly, don't you?
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
They're ridiculous, aren't they?
Those ones, I always think that it would be cooler if it was, because you know that thousands and thousands of people are going to enter them.
Yeah, but they get the money from the telephone calls, don't they?
Yeah. So
they're just a big swizz.
Yeah, but this is
not a swizz.
This is no swizz.
So go enter in the Ravelry thread, and when's it running till? Did we decide?
No, it's up to you.
We didn't decide, so let's think about this.
Because it's something like the bake
So
one.
will they collect the tickets when they just go? Or will they have to be posted out?
No, they're emailed.
Oh, they're emailed?
Yeah.
Right, so we can just email the person the tickets.
Well, we won't be. It'll be the organisers who email.
That's what. Right, okay. So let's run it until, I don't know, maybe mid-March. I'll put the date on the thread. I'll work out the closing date.
But just
and
go
I'll
over
put that
it.
on the thread.
Go over now and get involved.
Yeah, so just go and enter to win. It was a great event. We should be going again this year. I'm not sure what day. But we really enjoyed it, and I think this year it'll be even bigger than it was last year because it's running over the 2 days.
Honestly, it's the best show I've ever been to.
It was lovely. It wasn't, it wasn't massive in terms, it wasn't Yarndale or anything like that. But to be honest, I wouldn't have enjoyed that. It didn't feel claustrophobic. It just felt really friendly and lovely, and there was some great vendors there.
That's the key to it, really. I think with any show. It needs to not. I can't stand it when you go into an environment and you're like, you have to physically force yourself.
You have to. This has become a thing, hasn't it? And I know that the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, they've extended it by another day because I think
that might ease it up a bit.
It was, from what I heard from various people was it was just horrendously busy, and I can't see the point in that. It's unpleasant for everyone, isn't it, when it's that busy? And we've been to Yarndale before where I couldn't even get to some of the stands to look. And I'm just like, oh, well, there's just absolutely no point. But this wasn't like that at all.
No, it's just a really pleasant, lovely atmosphere.
I mean, it could well be that this year is busier than last year.
I'm sure it will
It was the first year last year. But in any case, we really enjoyed it. So go and enter if you'd like to win some tickets.
Oh, yes. Now, my sock quest will be back for its penultimate show next week, and I will be waxing lyrical about everything that's been going on, but also I'll be talking about, I'm about to cast on, you did me a lovely, you gave it to me for Christmas, a lovely colourway, and that's going to be my Stree socks, my new cast on Stree socks.
You dared me to dye up a particular colourway and call it something.
She did. So I'll be talking all about that next Thursday. Also, as well, the Pippi Mittens tutorial is back for its final part on Tuesday. And also, as well, we're gearing up for our next cup of tea quest. That's coming.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's coming in a couple of weeks. And I think we're going to go. Have we decided that we're going to go to Fafano's? The Italian that's under the clock tower.
Oh, we could try that one, yeah. We've got in town, there's like an Italian cafe. It's within the market. We've got an old-fashioned Victorian market in town. It's on the outside, isn't it? And there is a little space to sit outside.
Yeah.
But it looks, and they do like all Italian-style patisserie type things.
Have to say,
I know that's a French word.
What is an Italian scone? See, this is tricky because we're supposed to have a scone.
We're supposed to have a scone, but we'll just have to see what's there. They might have scones.
Yeah, we'll have to busk it. And you would think they probably would, given the type of
scone,
clientele.
They might have like, shortbready type thing, or we'll just see.
But I think it's a brilliant setting, and it's funny, isn't it, how you only see these things when you open your eyes to look, because that setting right underneath the clock tower is actually really pretty. When you just sort of take in that.
I think it's like, it's just, you walk past it every day and you don't see it. It's that sort of place, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So that's coming in a couple of weeks. So lots going on, but that is it. That is the end of episode 92.
I haven't bought anything. Quite proud of myself.
So what an episode. Surrounded by food and tropical drinks and muesli. And
I'm going to carry on and eat that muesli.
Lovely. Yeah, it can be your lunch. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. And we will see you in 2 weeks for episode 94. And remember, that's when we'll be doing our final ever bucket list. and we'll be picking at least one activity to do this year, so don't miss it. And also as well, what's on your bookshelf is back for that episode.
Oh yes, and I am reading a book at the moment.
But she does need suggestions.
I am. Fantastic news.
That is fantastic news, but I'm sure you'd appreciate
yes.
some suggestions
Yeah.
after your drought.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. So thank you so much for watching.
Thanks everyone.
We'll see you in 2 weeks for episode 94.
See you soon.
Wasn't sitting and knitting, it's Dan and Kay, the bakery prayers. Enthusiasm's not quitting, for Dan and Kay, the bakery prayers. They'll take you to fabulous places, of which their favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern and get yourself a bakery pair. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery bears. What's on your shelf or what's in your oven, or maybe a shawl you'll want to wear. So sit yourself right down and watch Dan and Kay, the